Hey guys, so I'm going to talk about this guy, Chatbot. So we launched this about 8 months ago. Oh, sorry, trying to make this work. Right, nice. So Facebook Messenger. We launched on Facebook Messenger about 8 months ago. You can search for him, Chatbot, and then give him a go. Anyone tried him out already? There's a few. Give it a go. And we're learning a ton. So what's this not? Yeah, let's do that. I've got my notes. So I'm not doing a demo for this week, but I was going to do it next time. So to give you an overview of what it does, so the first thing that we were doing when we were designing this bot was to give people an idea of what it does as soon as you interact. So this message sort of gives an idea of that. So you can use these carousels within Facebook Messenger to sort of give a brief overview of what the bot can do. That's what we did. And something that's used the most, actually, probably about 80%, and I've spoken to a few guys today that use the bot for this as well, is bus arrivals. So you can ask for like, when's my next 365, and then we'll ask your location and show you the closest stop and the arrival times for that stop. Post that, so you can also ask for status of a line or a bus route. So just ask, like, what's the status of the PP line in the middle. And then if you want the status of anything beyond that, then we can show you the status of the entire network as well. And then when it falls down, like most bots do, you can speak to an agent, which happens a lot or just as much as you'd expect to be. So all of this is powered by our open API, so TFL have got open data policy, so all of this data is available to Citymapper and Google, the main reason that this is as good as it is because of the API that we've provided. And then to give an idea of what we're using to build this up, so we've got a Facebook Messenger front end. We're using Dialogflow, which is owned by Google now, to do our natural language processing. We've built a Node.js application that deals with all this stuff, and then we output to Facebook Messenger again. But we can output to many different places. So why a Chatbot? So mainly these things. Does anyone know what this is? Bus stop. Yeah, bus stop for arrival sign. So for some reason, someone thought it would be a good idea to text a number from a bus stop to get the arrival times, which works probably like 10 years ago. But we've moved on to that. So next up. So this costs the user about 12 pence per request, and it costs us a lot more than that. It's TFL. So this is like a loss for us, but it gives a really good service. Or did give a really good service. It costs us nothing per request for the Chatbot, obviously, so we can query that with the API and deliver arrival time for that stop. So the point of this talk, I was going to try and give some idea of what we're learning from chatbots and what value they can give. A lot of people ask me, why are you making a chatbot? What can that do over like a website? And one of the things that we found is that we're actually able to give control back to the user. So this is a definition that is widely used, so professional people. People are like changing the way that they interact with the internet based on how search works. That's what we found. So you would like type in a certain way within Google to probably get the right thing. When in fact people actually want to talk like this. So Ben's nan is like saying please and thank you to a Google search. But we see like a trend here where people want to talk to computers like humans as opposed to talk to computers like computers. So from this we can see that we want to let users talk to us in their own words and sort of be able to communicate in a way that's natural to them. So TFL talk to their customers like this. So donut journeys, anyone know what a donut journey is? Possibly not. So? It's not on the circle line there. Anyone else? Jams? Yeah, nice. No, so donut journey is if you're trying to avoid zone 1, which people do, so you get charged their money. And so this is how we talk to our customers, and no one really knows what these terms mean. In fact, our customers want to talk to us like this. Like they want to ask us full sentences, they want to explain their situation, and then get an answer back that is relevant. And what we're finding is actually people are finding different ways of talking to us about things. So this is real life question, how's the loop line? Apparently we're going the circle line. But this is something that natural language can do for us. So we didn't input loop as a synonym to circle, but natural language can understand these differences and give an answer where we didn't realise there was. And another thing we're seeing is people are like this behaviour from navigating for information is switching to something that's more like asking for exactly what you want. So take this example. So if you went to get the last district line train from Embankment, Google search it, find the page on our website, find the district line, and then eventually when you scroll down, you'll find this last departure, which is fairly hard to decipher. But if you take this example, you can ask for the next train to Embankment or from Embankment in many different ways. And it changes that interaction from like 4 different pages to a single interaction of a page that we can deliver straight to you without any of this like faff in between. So the upshot of that is we can sort of understand meaning behind queries, not just the single keywords within things. So I'll put this slide in, partly because it sort of fits the theme, but partly something's quite funny. So when you start at TFL, you can like, look around TFL at different departments. In the Lost Property Office, I found Dory, which I found quite interesting. But the point of this is that we can sort of, with natural language, we can understand really simple, well, like really subtle differences between queries. So someone said that they've lost Dory on the circle line, we take them to Lost Property, but then if they say anything about, so next slide. So if they say that they've lost their Roto card, then they go for a complete process. So we can, if you type that into a search box, you'll probably get Lost Property, but we can take you to a really specific journey. Next slide. So what we're trying to do is, so what we currently do actually is we look at all of these social channels, and when we started building the bot, we looked at all these channels to see how people were interacting with TFL currently. Took all of that and then built that into our bot to get some intent out. So we're using all of these channels and how people currently talk to us to inform what we're building. So as a result, we're getting 24/7 testing, so we can see every single conversation that everyone's had with our bot and sort of inform the way we build things based on that. This is like a, yeah. So the first interaction, so what we've seen, people, when they're looking for like a bus arrival time, they'll leave their flat and they'll be like, oh, when's the next 321? And then they'll walk down the road and then they'll do it again. And then they'll leave the house and they'll ask again. And you get these like multiple interactions that you maybe wouldn't have seen if someone was interacting with a web page. You might not be able to see how people are interacting with that. So as a result, we can build things like this to add like a refresh bar, which I think a lot of people use, and we've seen from our data that it's changed from people having many seconds of interaction, typing the same query over and over again, to just tap and refresh every time they leave their file. And then we can see from like weather as well. So a recent thing we've seen. So when I just so next slide. So what we saw was, so this is a graph. So this is the snow days, not the last one, the last before that. So we're getting like a trend of like a decent amount of users every day that are using this, probably just to get bus arrival times. But as soon as the snow hit, we got like a 10 times increase in people using the bot for something completely different. So 80% of usage before was bus arrival times. As soon as the snow hit, it was line status. And what we sort of realised from that is, well, we're building these tools that are sort of used a reasonable amount all the time. But as soon as there's sort of unexpected amount of disruption or something that people can't really plan for, that's when we get like a ton of usage. And that's sort of how we're seeing chat is being really valuable for us, is at these times of unexpected or unplannable disruption. And something you can see as well is, so you've got all of these tools that will help you pre-plan for a journey. So Citymap does a great job, Google Maps does a great job to help you plan for a journey. But if you need live information now on a journey that you're on, or you're a commuter and you know your journey, you want really specific pieces of information. So I'm leaving St James's Park, when's the next circle line? That's hard to find. Well, it takes a fair amount of time to find within an app, but well, Google's doing some stuff now. But within chat, you can ask for really small bits of information and get them really quickly, which is where we're sort of seeing where the value is now. And as a result, we're sort of able to build what people are asking for. So the way that we build up our dialogue flow is we've got these live intents, which are the ones that you can use right now. So line status, bus arrivals, that's live. We have a load of hidden intents in the background that don't do anything, but we can count how many times that's been asked for. So we get a list, and it basically just builds our backlog of things we should build based on how often people ask for things. So it's a great way of building a product with exactly the things that people want. So we essentially learn based on usage. And a great example of this is, so for some reason we oversaw that people might want a tube map on their phone. Maybe we shouldn't, but we did. So we launched the bot to like a few people at the beginning. Everyone was asking for a tube map. So we could see that and just build it, and it was really quick. So we're in this like great position now where we can see continued interactions and fix things really quickly compared to websites before. And chat doesn't necessarily have to be the answer either, so Messenger gives you like a good interface to build chat interfaces. Next. But if you're asking for like a Victoria Line service, or like the service of the Victoria Line, it's fine within chat, but as soon as you want any more information than that, we can give you like a big list of what's going on. But merging that with like a web interface is a really good way of giving people more information, and I don't think there's any issues with doing that. So as a result, we can sort of build better experiences for people within chat. So we're seeing like a really good usage for people with visual impairment. So you can dictate to the phone and it can read back to you these things, which on a web experience isn't quite as good or as refined. But also we're using this natural language processing in the back end of our search as well. So next slide. So you can type in a query, so something like I couldn't tap out on North Greenwich, we can understand what that means and deliver you somewhere on the website that's really relevant, which you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with like a search product. That's it. Thanks. Any questions?
It's just what would be most useful to me is something that would guide me out to the tube station to where I to the exit I want to come out of.
So the question was, is there anything to help guide you out of a tube station once you get there?
Yeah. So I'm at the right exit.
Yeah. So yes, and I can't say much about it. So that might be something we're looking into. It's a usage we're seeing quite a lot. So TFL are really focusing on accessible travel at the moment, and that does come into that. So people wanting to figure out where they need to go. Also, step-free access is really high on as well, and that sort of falls into that too.
I'm curious if you've seen a sort of incremental increase in use of your API from this, or if you think it's kind of cannibalizing people's use of Tatner and Google Maps.
So the question was, do we see this? There's probably two parts there, right?
Like, is it getting new users, or is it getting people changing?
Yeah, so we're getting new users, or we're converting people to city number, etc. I mean, we're trying to TFL we get a really good open data out there, so that companies like Citymapper could exist. And there's it's actually really nice when TFL every time we come forward with a suggestion that might overlap with the questions raised, is do we really want to do that? Because we went out there to do these things. Do we really want to just cut these people out of the market? And the answer is generally no. So everything we do is try not to do that. Whenever we produce new services, we're trying to think about what can we do that other people can't, just through data that's available or channels that are available. So other people could do this, and they're pretty welcome to. The benefit we saw as doing this as TFL was the brand, and people already speak to us on Facebook. So we don't see it as cannibalizing. It's more providing a bit of a different service, like live information as opposed to pre-planned.
How good is it that it hasn't been prompt? So if you wrote Piccadilly line, for example, instead of Piccadilly, how does it?
So the issue you get there sometimes is so things like Piccadilly, Jubilee, District, Circle Line, is called Loop. Is if you put the synonyms incorrectly, then it will get stuff like that. But it's only as good as the synonyms. I mean, Circle Line was a bit of a weird one because it got Circle and Loop as a synonym without us inputting it. But stuff like Piccadilly Piccadilly probably wouldn't. So unless we input it. So it's only as good as the data you put in really. And there's this sort of feeling that it does all itself, but it really doesn't do it itself.
Do you expect to remember who the people are users I always do the same things when I start searching on sites.
Yeah.
And usually it'd be great to
So say that again. So
I always have the same types of, I have 4 queries.
yes.
If I do the same sort of things, is there a way to make sure that you know, the bot at least knows who I am?
Knows who you are, yeah. So that is possible, and Facebook. So it's a bit. When you look into the amount of data that Facebook would give you of a user when you're doing these sorts of things is a lot more than we use. So you can get someone's name, and you can create a database entry and serve people suggested things based on what they've asked before. We don't currently like some privacy things, but yeah, it's completely possible. I think there's a lot of people who do that because we have to ask permission. We haven't quite got that yet.
Final question.
Yeah.
How often do you take information you learn from users to feedback into Chatbots?
So how often do we look at the logs and then input that? I mean, it sort of comes down to the way that we do work at TFL. So we have like 2-week sprints. And they've got a ton of other stuff to do as well. So we basically look at as often as we can, and then make as many changes as possible within that sprint. So when we launched, it was. I mean, some of it doesn't have to be development either. Some of it can just be training the AI, and that can be done every day. And at first we did do it every day, but it's probably more like once a month now. In terms of features, it's probably every other sprint, so same once a month.
How do you measure whether the thing is spent like an A/B test or?
So A/B test you can do. We haven't done, but you get really good data about click-throughs. And the journey that people take through the bot. So you would easily be able to see a difference. So if for example, so on the bus example where it's got a fresh button, we wanted to reduce the amount of first-time queries for a bus, like a text query for a bus arrival time, and get as many people as possible pressing the fresh button where relevant, so we can measure both of those things and see a difference. Cool. Cheers, guys.